I have a number of Polish friends, and I've been keeping track of Poland for the last 10, 15 years and visiting friends here and going back and forth. And I've seen there's been a tremendous growth in Poland, also for things like watches. And the economy is changing, and I thought it was really interesting to come here to sort of see that firsthand, the kind of interest people have, the things they're interested in buying or looking at, the quality of the market, what people are interested in. All these kinds of aspects were very, important for me to see firsthand. Yeah. I think it's great. It's wonderfully organized. It's better organized than some other small festivals I've seen. And of course, they would like to grow, but I think the venue is fine, the layout is great, the organization, as far as I've experienced, has been really, really good. It's a very worthwhile endeavor. They're doing it in a very good way. The view is that Swiss smartwatches, whether they're Swiss or Japanese, doesn't make a difference really. Smartwatches are basically not doing very much. They're not adding much to the mix right now. They may be echoing something from a mobile telephone, maybe a health aspect, a heart monitoring has come in now, all these kinds of things. But it's not really bringing anything really major to the wrist, if you know what I mean. Now, that probably will happen one day. There'll be a change in people's attitudes as well as the people designing these kinds of products. And if it gets glued into place that you must have one of these watches to function in your work, life, and everything else, then the real estate is gone forever. Right now people can switch. They might put a smartwatch on simply when they're jogging or logging certain things at work and take it off when they get home and put a regular watch on. But the day may come when the smartwatch becomes truly smart and then takes over our lives in another way, like the telephone is done. Look at the mobile phone, it's identical. I used to have a brick like that carrying around, and who would imagine that we'd have everything in our pockets now, basically a miniature computer. And the smartwatch might become something like that too. Well, I think, and it's a stupid answer to your question, but it's really true, you have to like and love what you buy. The joy of buying a watch is that you look at it many times a day, and if it gives you pleasure, the color, the way the dial glows, the color of the dial, the way the hands look, the way it feels on your wrist, all those things together, that pleasure is worth a certain amount of effort and money. And if you can afford it, it's very enjoyable practice to do. As you start, even with a very simple watch, even in the lower segment, you invariably develop, maybe you get a different kind of job, you save up some money, and you read about watches and want to get something else. Like a car. When you're a student, your first car, you're happy to have a Lada that just works. It could be 20 years old. If it gets you to school, it's fine. And as you get a job, you go up, things change. It's just like that. But you have to start somewhere, and you've got to always have the attraction to what you're buying. It's really important. When you say the word watchmaker, this word has become completely lost to us. We don't understand anymore. In the old days, a word watchmaker was a guy who could basically take a piece of metal and make a watch from nothing, okay, or a clock. Today, watchmakers in Switzerland, when you use the word watchmaker, it's really an assembler. They get a packet of pieces. It's a very prestigious job. It's a difficult job. I'm not putting the job down. But the making of the parts, the cutting of the parts, the polishing, the finishing of the parts, before the watchmaker even starts, is months. So often when you show people a watch and they ask the watchmaker, how long did it take to make? Oh, I'm done in about 3 months. They say, only 3 months and it costs so much? And I keep saying to them, you got to be careful. You're forgetting all the engineers and people that we have working very hard before you have the parts ready to go. There's many discussions, and it's often very difficult decision making and very complicated things to solve. So the watchmaker is the last step, very important one. But today he's no longer the watchmaker of the 18th century who would be cutting a wheel and maybe making a watch from zero. You know?